The Ideal of Human Unity. Chapter 22. World Union or World State. This, then, in principle, is the history of the growth of the state. It is a history of strict unification by the development of a central authority and of a growing uniformity in administration, legislation, social and economic life, and culture, and the chief means of culture, education, and language. In all, the central authority becomes more and more the determining and regulating power. The process culminates by the transformation of this governing sole authority, or sovereign power, from the rule of the central executive man, or the capable class, into that of a body whose proposed function is to represent the thought and will of the whole community. The change represents, in principle, an evolution from a natural and organic to a rational and mechanically organized state of society. An intelligent, centralized unification, aiming at a perfect rational efficiency, replaces a loose and natural unity whose efficiency is that of life developing with a certain spontaneity its organs and powers under the pressure of inner impulse and the needs of the environment and the first conditions of existence. A rational, ordered, strict uniformity replaces a loose oneness full of natural complexities and variations. The intelligent will of the whole society, expressed in a carefully thought-out law and ordered regulation, replaces its natural organic will, expressed in a mass of customs and institutions which have grown up as the result of its nature and temperament. In the last perfection of the state, a carefully devised, in the end a giant machinery productive and regulative, replaces the vigor and fertility of life with the natural simplicity of its great lines and the obscure, confused, luxuriant complexity of its details. The state is the masterful but arbitrary and intolerant science and reason of man that successfully takes the place of the intuitions and evolutionary experimentations of nature. Intelligent organization replaces natural organism. The unity of the human race, by political and administrative means, implies eventually the formation and organization of a single world state out of a newly created, though still loose, natural organic unity of mankind. For the natural organic unity already exists, a unity of life, of involuntary association, of a closely interdependent existence of the constituent parts, in which the life and movements of one affect the life of the others in a way which would have been impossible 100 years ago. Continent has no longer a separate life from continent. No nation can any longer isolate itself at will and live a separate existence. Science, commerce, and rapid communications have produced the state of things in which the disparate masses of humanity, once living to themselves, have been drawn together by a process of subtle unification into a single mass which has already a common vital and is rapidly forming a common mental existence. A great, precipitating, and transforming shock was needed, which should make this subtle organic unity manifest, and reveal the necessity and create the will for a closer and organized union. And this shock came with the Great War. The idea of a world state, or world union, has been born not only in the speculating, forecasting mind of the thinker, but in the consciousness of humanity, out of the very necessity of this new common existence. The world state must now either be brought about by a mutual understanding or by the force of circumstances and a series of new and disastrous shocks. For the old, still prevailing order of things was founded on circumstances and conditions which no longer exist. A new order is demanded by the new conditions, and so long as it is not created, there will be a transitional era of continued trouble or recurrent disorders, inevitable crisis, through which nature will effect, in her own violent way, the working out of the necessity which she has evolved. There may be, in the process, a maximum of loss and suffering through the clash of national and imperial egoisms, or else a minimum, if reason and goodwill prevail. To that reason, two alternative possibilities, and therefore two ideals, present themselves: a world state founded upon the principle of centralization and uniformity, a mechanical and formal unity, or a world union founded upon the principle of liberty and variation in a free and intelligent unity. These two ideals and possibilities we have successively to consider.